Nate, thank you for
Hello.
joining me for an NFT.NYC pre-event interview. I am excited for you to be able to tell folks that are coming to this event a bit about yourself, your company Mintbase, how you've partnered with us at NFT.NYC in order to help us do events better. So can you please introduce yourself for a moment for the folks that don't know you?
Yep, my name is Nate, the creator of Mintbase. I ended up winning the DevCon 4 hackathon in Prague last year, and then just basically been building this company ever since. So it's been rewritten about 3 or 4 times, but now I'm pretty excited about the tech we're pushing out right now.
Well, we are too, and we're grateful for the partnership that we have with you and the ability that you give us. Can you talk about what your product does, like the case use, how we're using it at NFT.NYC when people register for the event?
Sure. So to start out, my company is an NFT minting platform. Allows anyone without coding experience to come in and start building their own NFTs as cleanly as possible. And we're kind of going the way of what Amazon did. So when people say, what is the specific audience or target that you're hitting, Amazon's first shot was that they had over 20 different products that they launched with, but at the very beginning they focused on books because it just made the most sense.
Right.
With Mintbase, ticketing seems like it's the very good use case because we're at that point where we're done talking about using Ethereum. Now we're actually getting to use it, and ticketing for blockchain conferences is an excellent start. So right now we're actually, we created an embeddable NFTs where NFT.NYC was able to embed minted tokens onto their own platform. Just like you would embed a YouTube video into your platform, you can actually embed the tickets, which is going to open up for a lot of weird use cases where anyone can embed those tickets as well.
Right. So for us running a blockchain event, and for others that are running blockchain events or any event really, but let's just stay in that industry, the option is to charge fiat currency through an Eventbrite or through a PayPal or something of that nature. Or there's been some options that have tried to provide something similar to what Mintbase, and your website's mintbase.io, correct?
Yep, that is it.
So what are you bringing to the market that's maybe a little different or than some of the other folks have been like, oh, you can charge cryptocurrency for an event ticket? Can you explain the difference of the product and the tool that you built from what other people have seen as they've registered for blockchain events the last year or two and seen an option to pay with Bitcoin or Ether?
Sure. I kind of stumbled upon ticketing mainly because Peter, the Meta Cartel, they used our system for the demo day. Basically, I was just sitting next to him and he goes, hey, what are you building? What are you working on? And I explained it. He said, oh, that's great. Can we use it for the demo day? So basically, we built the product specifically for that event, and it actually worked out really well. And I found out why NFTs work so well for ticketing specifically was because I bought my DevCon 5 tickets in ETH. And that process was mildly frightening. I ended up just basically buying it, and then it just went away. And then I think eventually someone manually sent me an email like 6 hours later saying, hey, everything's confirmed, which that's 5 hours, and me thinking, whoa, where did my over $1,000 go? With my process is you buy with the ETH, the money gets split 2% to Mintbase, 98% to the minter automatically, and the NFT comes back to you immediately. So that's your receipt, that's your ticket, and that's an interoperable asset that you can use on multiple different platforms. Let's say your character maybe runs a little faster because you're the owner of this NFT. That's kind of what we're after.
Right. Can we talk a bit about interoperability? That's what you're talking about at NFT.NYC, which for people that don't understand, the event will be in Manhattan on Thursday, February 20th, 2020. It's our second annual event. I believe it's the largest event in the world that's specifically focused on just crypto collectibles and digital assets, NFTs, NFTs, whatever you want to call them. But can you talk a bit about interoperability? Because that's what we've asked you to come and speak on at the event.
Sure. So I'm hosting an event right now in Crypto Voxels, which is quite like a Decentraland where you have to own an NFT to be able to actually edit and change and build your own property out. So from the 1st of December to the 24th of December, everyone meets in our Mintbase headquarters. And we have over 24 different companies basically giving out an NFT that represents some real world asset. And it's that's interoperability at its core. So
Right.
now we have full node, which is, and nonce, which is some of the two biggest co-working spaces and Progress Bar, all coming together on different days and giving away basically a month or a week of free access to their space.
Yeah.
So I just think it's fascinating that you can mint a token on a platform and then use the conduit as crypto voxels to receive it, and then to be able to exchange it on an OpenSea or an exchange, and then to redeem it at the actual like store that you go. That's interoperability in its core, is like, right. You can now use, gain, create, delete, and move an asset through multiple different industries.
And if somebody's really fresh and new to the stuff that you're talking about, let me just kind of clarify a few things for those folks, if that's the case. You never know, somebody pops on and listens to our interview and they're kind of not really knowing what things are. So what you're talking about is you have a couple dozen different companies, like video, esports, right? Chain breakers, video games, things like that. And all these different types of companies that are represented inside of your virtual reality world. And you guys are using, you called it, it's CryptoVox.
Crypto voxels, yep.
Crypto voxels, okay. And I was just on there checking out what you guys are doing. And so that's a little bit different environment than like a Decentraland, which is more or less like digital real estate that people are buying and building out. And you have all these companies there. They're on different chains, or they're built in different ways. They have different systems. But what you're creating is a space that it doesn't really matter, because everything will kind of go from game to game or from environment to environment. That's really what you've created, which is different than what other people have brought to the market.
Exactly.
Okay. Where do you see interoperability now, and where do you see it maturing in the next year or two? How do you see that part of this industry mature over time?
I think now we're in experimental mode. I think there's a lot of companies out there that are figuring out, hey, how do we make the redeemers much easier? Like checking in at a conference with an NFT, that's not an easy task, but these things are getting figured out. Creating assets for artists, for maybe the token doesn't have the full file size, but maybe that, if you own that token, then maybe you go to a web page and automatically you can download that actual asset. So what I'm focused on is real world assets actually being used and being collected for things that give you something a bit more of value. CryptoKitties was a neat proof of concept, but what I'm really, really excited about is maybe I can use my CryptoKitty to unlock an Airbnb door or something. That's kind of more where my brain's at. Less than like, I don't like using the word collectible very much. I've never been one to say, hey, I got this neat batch of NFTs in my wallet. I don't know if I've never been in a conversation where I went, hey, you got to check out this neat thing I've got. Look at this cat. I'd rather be like, hey, I need to go to a co-working space. Can I exchange one cat, one crypto voxel piece of land, and then all of a sudden I'm working.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Tell me about your product, and do you consider your product to be MVP, in alpha, in beta? Is it like prime and ready for the whole market? Like, where's your product development at right now, and where are you taking it?
It's a beast. I'm pretty excited about it. Okay. It's been rewritten about 3 times. It went from really terrible to like meh to like hell yeah. It's now in a spot where basically I had this huge cloud infrastructure, the CQRS event sourcing Hagapalooza, which is really amazing for a lot of engineers. But then when I hooked up the Graph protocol, which essentially is an indexer for Ethereum,
right,
I got rid of all of my servers. So basically, the only piece of the server part is actually saving the metadata. But yeah, it's starting to beef up.
And maybe tell me a bit about the infrastructure of your team. Do you have a decent? Is it you? Is it a local team? Is it a decentralized team? You guys are working remotely. Like, give me a little insight in terms of the folks rolling their sleeves up and building things.
Sure, our team's massive. I do the design, development, the trash picking up, everything, and Kyle is my business development go-to, and she'll be at the event as well. So it's just a team of us two. We're bootstrapped. We haven't basically the only funding we've received was $2,000 from Status Hackathon in Prague, and then 1,500 from the Meta Cartel. So we'll be hitting that funding trail quite soon. Our usage is going up, so it's nice to actually hit the funding trail with real numbers.
Yeah, well, it sounds like you need more like 1,500 Bitcoin to really make a go of it if you want to scale, massive. Please. And there will be some great investors that have backed really important companies in this space at NFT.NYC. And so, I think an encouragement to you would just be really clear about your call to action when you're there. Obviously, you're coming to serve the community and speak, right? You're serving the entire event by providing your technology to make it available for people to get a ticket in a different way, in this new way that you've created. But if raising money is a big focus for you, then I would just say, make sure that you're prepared for that you know who's going to be there, and that you guys take advantage of that moment where everybody's in one place.
Definitely.
Yeah. Cool. Any final thoughts on the NFT industry as we kind of wrap up our conversation?
Just as the industry as a whole, it's quite neat about our advent calendar mainly is that we've got competitors on the board, which is quite neat. I think there's some NFT competitors out there that are trying to just take the entire market or trying to take other people's stuff. I think in reality, we're all trying to build something, and it's really fascinating to be able to focus less on taking our own stuff and focus more on the people, because there's a big world out there with people who have no idea what NFTs are. So once we start putting our focus more on that market, I think that's the direction to head to. And the space is growing. I love seeing super rares explosion, seeing that whole process of they're really, really, really grabbing that group of artists that are trying to figure out this stuff, trying to figure out where their data is stored, trying to it's been pretty phenomenal to see their success.
Yeah. Yeah. And finally, I guess I'll ask, if you were to invite somebody to NFT.NYC that's happening Thursday, February 20th in Manhattan, what's the invitation? Why would you encourage people to
come? It's a very small group right now. If you want to get involved in the space, if you want to talk to people who are creating big products, you can probably go on CryptoVoxes and talk directly to Ben, who created that. I think you're not going to get that kind of an opportunity 5 years from now. I think right now is the time to really start building those relationships and figuring out where's what. It's just kind of like what Treehouse. Ryan Carson was my mentor way back in the day he built his company Treehouse, and he was buddies with Mark Zuckerberg and all these other things. They would all go to these small little conferences, and they're just normal humans then. But then give it a few more years, the space is going to grow, and now's the time to intermingle with such a niche market. Yeah. And a niche conference.
That's right. Well, we're glad that you're part of it. Thank you for participating in the ways that you are, and for creating new tech that we can use, that the community can benefit from. I look forward to seeing you in a couple months there at NFT.NYC, and I thank you for your time and willingness to come share with us before this event happens.
Perfect. Thank you for the time as well.
All right.
Looking forward to seeing you. Bye.
Yeah. Bye.